Hello everybody and good morning. I'm really excited to be presenting BERNINA Club today. If you're not familiar with BERNINA Club and you've just come across this video, we do a presentation once a month on sewing with BERNINAs. Anyway, it's a lot of fun and we will get back to doing this as an in-person style class at some point, but just to get this changed up a little bit. Today, if you could, if you are watching the video and you would like the free CDs, the CDs have a copy of this video. They have not better, but detailed instructions you can follow along if you want to make the project. You should be able to make most of it based on this video, but it'll have the measurements and everything you actually need to make the project. If you could give us a like on this video and then post a picture of your show and share below in the comments, it will help boost our algorithm so people don't miss clubs. Anyway, this is the second to last club of the year. We will do a special December presentation, but this usually it's October and then November and then Christmas party. So, and we'll see. I'm not gonna say no, but we're gonna watch all the numbers. So anyway, I really hope you enjoy today's presentation and hope to see you in the store soon. Thanks. So today for BERNINA Club, we're gonna make a really fun, nice pillow. I know, pillow, but we're going to weave some fabric and make this really lovely flange pillow. You're gonna have two options on your CD. You're gonna make a flange. This is a flange. It's like a like a pillow sham is how I've seen these a lot of the time, where you have the bubble in the middle here, or you can make one of those like more typical dome pillows where you just sew both sides together, and you can either have a flap on the back or a 14-inch zipper to have it where this is more of a dome shape. So either way, it's really fun, and you can actually do this with just about any serger. You don't necessarily have to have the serger I'm using today, though it is quite lovely. I do think it's important for us to remember that our sergers can be our decorative stitch machines. We can actually embellish a lot with them. It just takes different thread, maybe a few different settings. But anyway, it's a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy the presentation today. So let's get started. So today for our project, we're going to use the BERNINA L860, which is our newest 8 series machine. Woo! So the thread we're actually using is going to be 2 spools of maxi lock and 1 spool of 12 weight RFL thread. This is a regular sized spool of thread here, so we're going to use a spool cap when we put it on, and I will show you that. Just in case one of you is watching and wants to know, I used 6 regular size spools of RFL, so you might want to get the larger spools. However, another thread that would work really well for this project would be like Designer 7, Pearl Crown Rayon, or Razzle Dazzle. So like any of those bigger, thicker threads that don't work really well for your sewing machine, except maybe as bobbin work, will work great for this project. So when we start up the L860, it's going to be a lot like the L890 in a couple of ways, in that it's going to show us how to thread the machine. So I'm going to use guided mode, which I like to refer to as learning mode, which is super great, especially right now when we can get you in for short classes but not our regular long ones. So let's see here. I'm going to go to select stitches. I don't want to save that, so we're good. I'm going to go up here to my stitch options, and we want a 3 thread narrow overlock, because we're not really doing a rolled hem. It is decorative, but we're doing the 3-thread narrow overlock with the right needle. So right now it's telling me to lift my presser foot, which I have already done. I'm going to go to the next step. There's no unthreading required because I haven't sewn anything today. Tells me which presser foot and my basic presser foot pressure. Sometimes I have to change my presser foot pressure depending on what fabric I'm using. But this time everything's going to be okay because it's just 100% cotton canvas. We're going to insert needles into the position shown, which is the right needle. So I'm going to open my door, grab my needle screwdriver, my needle holder, and my needle. I am using a jeans needle today, size 90. And that is the biggest needle you really want to put in any serger. If it requires a larger needle than that, maybe not sew it with your serger. There we go. Sorry about that. Now, I'm just going to tighten this right up. Boop. Ta-da! So now I'm going to put my tools back because I want to be able to find them next time. And it's just so convenient. They're right there. Okay, so I'm going to leave my door open and I'm going to make sure my knife is activated, which any of these steps, if I don't know the answer, I can always hit play and it will actually show me this really nice video on how to do it. So I'm gonna make sure my knife, which is right here, is up. Okay, and that's all that step is. Adjust the cutting width to 6. The cutting width is down here at the bottom of the screen where my finger is. I'm gonna put that at 6. That's gonna adjust my stitch width essentially. I'm gonna hook out the upper looper converter. Just make sure I know what that means. On this machine, the upper looper converter, which you can use for super stretch stitches and some decorative stitches, is actually attached to the looper. So it's not some little thingy that I can lose, because for my 1300 I lost this several times. It was really obnoxious because I do like to make really stretchy leggings and it's real nice to have this option. So anyway, it's just going to be flipped back in the position it was in the first place. Then next, I'm going to select my rolled hem lever, which this is actually my seam guide. I'll get this out of the way. And on the plate here, I know you can't see it from your view, but there's an O and an R. R is for rolled hem, O is for overlock. We're going to be on overlock. And we're going to adjust the microthread control to 0, which is the dial right here, because we don't need it to roll one way or the other. We want a very balanced stitch for this. Okay, so we're going to thread these thread paths. It's going to be green, blue, and red. If you remember, since this is an air threading serger, I don't have to thread it in any particular order. Yes. However, I am going to follow the instructions, which are in, well, they are in an order. Oh, yes. So this is going to be my upper looper, which in this case is the blue thread. So this right here has the blue. So that for blue, since I'm using a regular size spool of thread, I am going to remove my cone holder and I'm going to grab one of these just to keep it from trying to escape on me. Get this thread going here. Okay, so first I'm going to thread my upper looper with my RFL 12 weight. We have this in very limited colors, but we do have some, and I just got this size. To use this size, I have already removed my cone holder from the blue spindle, and I have grabbed one of these for my accessories, because this is going to keep the thread from trying to escape. So we are going to thread this first. It's going to be just a simple, easy peasy, straight down through here. Give this a tug. I want this long enough to get all the way through the pipes, okay? So I'm going to open this door and switch it to on. If it doesn't click over, just gently rock your hand wheel. That means that your needle was not in the upper position when you went to start that up. That's no big deal. Like I said, you just flip that little doodah and we are ready to go. So upper looper is blue. And remember, we don't actually have to start with the upper looper. We can thread this in any order that we want. So I'm going to cut this thread here so it's not quite so tangly. We don't want a whole lot of lint on the end of that, but I've had pretty good success using soft lock and elastic thread without a cradle. The cradle is when we tie another piece of thread onto this to get it to pass through, which you do need to do with some decorative threads, but not most of them. And I'm just gonna set this right on the blue here and tap my foot control. Woo, there we go. Ta-da! And it is an extra staticky day, folks, so I apologize about that. Anyway, so we have our nice, long, beautiful red thread here. So I'm gonna push that to the back. And when I push it to the back, our blade comes up from the bottom, which I'm not quite used to yet, but that's where they are. So, and like I said, it's perfect. Perfect. So I'm going to take my spool cap and I'm going to put it right up here. Just to, like I said, keep that thread under control. Now I'm going to take my maxi lock threads here. And we're going to do the right needle, which is green, and the lower looper, which is red. And I'll go ahead and prove to you that you can do this in any order you want by putting my right needle on next, which goes on the back here, right under the thread holder that has the green bead on it. Then we come to the green tensioner, which is right here. Floss, bring it straight down, over, green, green, right side. And then I'm just gonna use this handy needle threader. Woo, there we go, perfect. Ta-da! So my needle is threaded, and now I'm gonna do my next looper because I can thread this machine in any order that I want. So, next one, lower looper. Right in that red tensioner. Bring it down, touch my knee, bring it over. Perfect first time. Ta-da! All right, make sure my loopers are both to the back. And now I'm ready to close all of this. Now, when I'm done here, I need to go ahead, just like the screen says, and turn this back. What that does is that opens those pipes back up, which we need to actually stitch. Shut these doors, and I'm going to attach my cute little seam guide because I don't like having to think very hard about what I'm doing, because who does? Sometimes we have to experiment a little bit with our tensions depending on what project we're doing and what kind of thread we're using. And when we're using our sergers as an embellishment machine, we get to play a lot. So what's really great about this one is that I can turn these, I can change these settings and actually save it just like I can on my computerized Bernina sewing machine. If you have a 4 series machine, no big deal. Just make a note in your book, in your manual, or like take a picture of your of your dials and name the picture something. That's a good way to do it, also to take notes. I've seen a lot of younger people just doing notes via photo, and I think that's a really great idea. But anyway, I'm going to change a couple of things. My lower looper tension I'm going to bring up And it's because my upper looper is that really big thread. It's that 12 weight. So I'm going to lower it to 1 and see what it looks like. I can also tap on it and move this dial all the way down. And then I can adjust all of them using the slider. Woo! That's kind of fun. And my right needle, my tension's going to be on 5. Which, there we go. Now, I have changed everything from its default. So it's all yellow. All my numbers are yellow. That's how I can tell that I changed it. And if I decide this is terrible, I can always press clear and go back to the beginning. But it's not terrible yet. I haven't tried it. So what I'm going to do, my cutting width for this project is actually going to be 7. So I kind of lied a little bit there. My differential feet is set to 1, which I believe is normal, and my cutting width is 7, and my stitch length is okay. So I'm going to change my stitch length to 1. That's right here on the screen. Give that a tap. It actually shows me my differential feet and my stitch length. So I'm going to go ahead and lower this. Like I said, normal is about 2.5, just like our machine's standard default. I'm going to roll this down and then use the button a couple of times to get it to 1. Okay. Now that, if I have a question, of course, I can watch the video. And it's a lovely little video, and it's going to show how it changes when it's at 1.8. We've got this little satin stitch, bring it up to 2.5, and it's bigger. There's more space between my threads. So that's what that does. And that's one of the things I really love about these is they have all these cool videos. So when you're messing around at home, you've got it all in there. So I'm going to close that out, and I think I'm ready to sew. So several of these strips here just require one side. So this is my Cloud9 cotton canvas that I discussed earlier, already cut into strips. These 4 just need one side finished. So we're going to do that. After working with my particular threads, this is what I ended up using. These are my tensions. I ended up with 5 for my right needle, 1.5 for my upper looper, and 4.4 for my lower looper. And I've got a really nice stitch right here. Really lovely detail there. I really think that really sets off my fabric. I matched it to this color right here. And I think that's all you really need to do with a print. You could always, of course, do a solid. That's, you know, that would always look great. And now my next step is I have 16 strips that I cut that need both sides done. Okay? And when we weave this together, it's gonna make sense. So our strips, we have 2 here that are not finished on either side. These are our headers. These 4 strips, which are finished on just one side, will be our outlines. Then these 16 strips here, which are done on both sides, will be the majority of our weaving. Now, the instructions tell you to cut 22 strips. This is only 20 right here. That is so I have 2 to test my tension and really mess up. So I do always recommend having a little bit of extra thread and fabric and everything. Not like a ton, but just enough to where, you know, we can make some mistakes. As you can see, I am pinning the strips right about 3/4 of an inch down from that raw edge. All my pins are going to face the same direction, so I know where the ouchie part is. And my outside pieces are the pieces with the raw edge. There's going to be 10 pieces across here, and that outside one is going to have, again, the raw edge on the other side. All right, so as we're laying this all out, as you can see, I do have a little extra space here. That's what we want, so I went ahead and scooted it all down. I have 10 of my strips here, 2 on the outside, have no edge, just like we talked about. And that's because we don't need it. It's gonna get sewn into the seam. It's just a waste of thread in general, so don't worry about it. Then we have all of our strips in here, and I want them touching. So that's gonna be kind of what our pillow is gonna look like. Isn't that fun? Yes. For our next step, we're simply gonna peel these back. Every other strip is gonna get peeled back. So I have a nice easy weave coming. Okay. All right, so every other one is peeled back. This is why we taped. If you didn't tape and you got to this part, you might want to tape because it's really gonna help a lot. Our first weft strip, weft is always going horizontal, not vertical. Our first weft strip is gonna be one of the ones with the raw edge. And it's gonna go right up against these strips here. Needs to go all the way across. There we go, and butt up to my folds. You will have an easier time because you will be using 2 hands. So that's gonna work out great. Okay, and once we have this here, we're gonna go ahead and pin it on the sides. Again, 2 hands works way better. And then we just flip these up one at a time. These were the even numbered strips, by the way. And you guessed it, our next row will be odd numbered strips. And because we're no longer going to be on an edge, we're no longer going to be on the edge of the header, we're going to use a strip that has both, oh, I got a stringy here, both sides. Boom. So now I just got to weave the whole thing. All right, I have woven this. Now, my last row, I'm going to, my last weft being side to side, I'm going to use this strip that is missing the top. So I'm just going to put it right there with the raw edge facing the outside. And I'm just going to fold all these down. Ta-da! Beautiful. So it's starting to look how my pillow is actually going to look. It's amazing. Okay, so across that top, I'm going to take the remaining header. Remember, your header has no thread on it. No edging is what I mean. We're just going to place it right across the top. And we're going to pin it we're going to pin it right across here. So let's go ahead All right, now we have flipped it over. We are making sure we are on, in fact, the wrong side. If your fabric matches on both sides, you got to be extra careful that you have picked the side you want, and this is the side we are going to fuse on. We don't want to make that mistake. We don't want to waste all this beautiful thread. Be very careful. So I have a pad under here, so it's not just my cutting mat. I wouldn't do that. But I do have my 20 by 20 piece of fusible fleece, which, as you can see, doesn't quite catch the whole thing, but that's good. We don't want it to cover the entire thing here. Mine is black because my fabric is pretty dark, so I went ahead and picked black. Now I'm going to spot fuse this on the mat. And what spot fusing means is I'm just going to tap it in a few places. I'm not going to steam it. And again, I did put something underneath this so that I'm not hurting my cutting mat. But I just want it partially attached because my ironing board is not this wide, okay? So I'm just doing a couple spots. And now that I got that, I'm going to take it over to the ironing board and finish pressing it. All right, so at this point, I have actually fused my fusible fleece on the back. I did choose to go ahead and sew right around the edge of that before I trimmed my fabric down. That way it's really solidly one piece. It's easy for me to move around. Nothing moves out of place. One really nice thing though is this has kept a lot of its three-dimensional aspects, but it's now like more solid. So anyway, it's looking really good. Woohoo! So my next step is to take a contrasting fabric because I am making the flange pillow. You can make on the CD, there's actually two different instructions. One is for a pillow with the flap on the back or regular kind of pillow, and then this one is a flange, so it's going to have a big thick stretch around the side, kind of like a pillow sham. And what I'm going to do next is sew my contrast fabric. So this is what you're going to see just a smidgen of around the edges here. Ta-da! Anyway, I'm going to lay this out and I'm going to stitch around this, leaving a 10-inch opening so I can turn it, and then I'm going to top stitch all the way around it using a thread that kind of blends in. And for this fabric, it's going to be black thread, so you're probably not going to see it. But anyway, wish me luck. That's what I'm going to do this on the regular sewing machine. I know it's cheating, but. And finally, we are going to take a ruler and measure from the edge in, I did 4 inches. You might want to do like 3, but just measure in. I'm going to draw a chalk line around in a box. We will sew 3 sides of the box. Then you will stuff in here, or you can install a zipper. That would be a great option. But I'm going to sew mine shut. So at this point, you just stuff the pillow, sew that seam. So you're going to stuff the pillow, you're going to sew that seam, and then we're done. Woo! Yay!
So that's it for the presentation today. Be sure to like and leave your comment below with your show and share, and we will get in contact with you to get you your free CDs. So anyway, have a great Thursday, and we will see you next month. All right. Bye.